And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome everyone to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. And starting out with the weather-related headlines here across Alaska. Periods of heavier rain will be moving through the panhandle this midweek, starting this Tuesday evening and especially through Wednesday. Some areas of the panhandle could pick up over 2-3 inches of rainfall along with some gale force winds, especially along the outer coast. Meanwhile, we still see some scattered showers and thunderstorms popping up across the interior with the daytime heating. We've had a few areas see temperatures in that 65-70 degree range, so that's enough heating with the moisture that's in the low levels of the atmosphere to produce those showers and storms. And if that's not enough, cold front coming on in across the North Slope Arctic coast is going to touch off some wet accumulating snow, central eastern Brooks Range into the central eastern North Slope and the eastern half of the Beaufort Sea now through midday Thursday. Some areas could pick up at least a few inches of wet snow. And as I've been mentioning for some time now, generally unsettled, near normal to a bit below normal temperatures, and occasionally wet weather will continue into early June, at least into the first few days of June. No real change there. Looking up at the FAA webcams at Deadhorse this afternoon, low clouds, a few flurries, 27 degrees. You'll likely see a period of light snow developing in there as we go through, especially tonight and into Wednesday. Meanwhile, farther south, Beaver, building showers, isolated thunderstorms around there, temperature 55, mid-upper Yukon Valley. And talk more about, we expect some light runs of ice to come through Stevens Village and Beaver as we go through later today and into tomorrow. And that's all because of what came down the Porcupine River. Talkeetna enjoying a partly sunny afternoon, temperature approaching 60 degrees as of mid-afternoon. Ketchikan, you're getting that next round of moderate to heavy rain and breezy conditions coming in. Look at the low clouds. You can see the ripples on the water. Some temperatures 52, and the bulk of that rain will be coming in there for tonight and on Wednesday morning, where some areas of the panhandle down here, Prince of Wales Island, Ketchikan, Metlakatla, could see well over 2, even 3.5 inches of rainfall. And as that moisture spreads northward, maybe not quite as heavy in the inner channels in the north there, but nevertheless, maybe 1.5 inches to as much as 2.5 inches of rain, central northern parts of the panhandle, as that moisture swings northwestward across the northeastern Gulf Coast, and expect some gale force winds, especially in the outer coast areas. Now, further north here, we have the Porcupine River. I'll talk more about that, where that's at in terms of breakup. And then here along Anatuvik, Adigan passes the Dalton Highway coming through the Brooks Range and then coming across the North Slope to Deadhorse, eastward through Kaktovik. Periods of light snow now through Thursday could produce as much as 1 to 3 inches of snow along the coast and the plains of the North Slope along the Dalton Highway. Up through the passes here, Anatuvik, Adigan Pass could see as much as 2 to 6 inches of wet snow, just be due to the fact higher in elevation, temperatures a bit colder there. So Porcupine River broke up at Old Crow on Saturday morning. It released a run of some moderate to heavy ice that passed through Fort Yukon on Monday night, Memorial Day. That ice now is pushing downstream and will be passing through Stevens Village and Beaver as we go through tonight into Wednesday. The ice, though, is tending to melt as it flows downstream. Nevertheless, this area of the Porcupine River will be contributing now some snow melt water, which will cause water levels to rise along the Porcupine here, especially at and above Fort Yukon for the rest of this week into next weekend. Otherwise, no significant flooding is anticipated at this time. That's good news. And then the far northern rivers along the North Slope have yet to break up, but that's just an eventuality as we continue to see temperatures slowly warm. Fire danger has been a bit higher. We have areas of the Yukon Flats, but out here, because there have been some drier conditions and the sun there, the grass is the greatest carrier of fire early in the season, so we're seeing the grass drying out here, the tundra areas of the lower middle Yukon and areas around the Seward Peninsula eastward. So just keep in mind fire danger is elevated in those areas. And as far as looking at the satellite imagery, we have this atmospheric river, this flow of moisture coming in out of the North Pacific. That's what's going to enhance the rainfall, especially this evening and tonight across the southern panhandle. As I mentioned, 2.5 to 3 inches of rainfall possible as we go through this Tuesday evening through the day Wednesday. Meanwhile, back in the interior, look at those thunderstorms popping just on the north side of the Alaska Range on up to west of Fairbanks, Yukon Flats, just outside of Arctic Village. Meanwhile, we have a cold front coming in down through this region, and that will have some light snow expand with it tonight and into the day Wednesday as it comes across the central eastern North Slopes, Brooks Range, and Beaufort Sea coast. So here's the weather map later tonight. There's that cold front. There's the area of light snow along and behind it. Meanwhile, ahead of it, we have a thermal trough. Then we have this low. This low is kind of strong for this time of year. It's going to actually dip down to 977 millibars as it pulls back across the central Gulf with this frontal system. This frontal system is the feeder of the atmospheric river, and that moisture going to bring the moderate to locally heavier rainfall to the panhandle from this Tuesday evening into the midday of Wednesday. And by Wednesday, low pulls back, 978 millibar low off the Kenai coast in the western Gulf with this front, occluded front draped north and east of it. Meanwhile, we still have a scattering of showers and storms northwest Canada back into areas of the interior. The cold front kind of stalls out here along the eastern Brooks Range and the Canadian Arctic coast, but it does advance southward along the lower Yukon, Nunavik Island into the northern half of the Bering Sea. North winds are going to drive down some cooler air further south Wednesday and even into Thursday, so that by Thursday afternoon we still have this low spinning off the Kenai coast and northeast of Kodiak Island in the western Gulf, but it will be the pressure rising, and there's another low down here that's going to pivot north and then westward again for Friday, early Saturday, and that'll give the panhandle some additional rain. Maybe not quite as heavy or as windy as this current system coming through Tuesday night and Wednesday, but it's all part of that overall wet pattern that's unsettled along the Gulf Coast. We'll still see some scattered showers and storms northwest Canada on into the interior, especially north and west of the Alaska Range, with some snow potential there along the Brooks Range on up toward the eastern Beaufort Sea coast. And then for Friday, there comes that low again from the North Pacific, going to bring another round of, I would say, light to moderate rain for Friday into early Saturday. There still could be some near gale force winds with that low, and that's what's left of the stronger low that we're dealing with right now. As we get into Friday afternoon, still a weak thermal trough across the central interior. And then back to the west. This is an interesting feature. That dropped down from the Russian Arctic coast, cutting across the Gulf of Anadyr into the west side of the Bering Sea. That's a pretty deep low, 983 for almost June. And that system will continue heading southeastward with its energy. So the temperature outlook for tonight, Anaktuvik Pass 18 with light snow developing there. All across the North Slope, Arctic coast readings below freezing. Some accumulating snow certainly possible, even below freezing temperatures, northern half of the Seward Peninsula there at Wales, Shishmaref down to Savunga. You know, temperatures at or just above 40 up the Yukon River, and as we drop down into areas of the south central, Anchorage Bowl should generally stay above 40, maybe 35 there, a little bit cooler over at Gulkana, Glen Allen. And then the Panhandle with the clouds, the rain, and the breeze staying into the mid-upper 40s. And as we trail out along the Alaska Peninsula, upper 30s to lower mid-40s. Temperatures Wednesday afternoon, not quite as warm down through the lower half of the Yukon River. Still could hit 64, 65 there at Fort Yukon. And over at Eagle on Wednesday afternoon, this would be the more likely area to see a few thunderstorms develop. Even some 60-degree readings, though, still up from Fairbanks up the Tanana Valley to Delta Junction and Northway. As for the Panhandle, periods of rain still going on, maybe not as heavy as tonight and Wednesday morning. Temperatures generally staying in the 50s. With any hints of sun, temperatures could get back up near 60, the lower Matsu Valley, Talkeetna, as well as Anchorage, and then back out here toward the west, just a little cooler, especially that cooler air running down along the west coast. Highs only near 40 at Makoriak, 42 at Imanik. And then for Thursday morning, temperatures could dip below freezing here in the lower Yukon Delta, certainly to the north and west of there along the Seward Peninsula, Brooks Range, Arctic coast, and North Slope. We'll see temperatures below freezing. 44 the low there at Fort Yukon. And as we go east, lows generally in the low to mid 40s across the Panhandle. And Thursday afternoon highs will not be as warm across the central eastern interior as they have been the past several days. We may have to struggle to get some high temperatures back up around or just above 60 at places like Fort Yukon, Eagle, and Fairbanks. And as we look at the Panhandle there, a little bit of maybe a break before the next round of precipitation comes in Thursday night and Friday. With that low coming up out of the North Pacific, we're looking at afternoon highs generally in the low mid 50s there. And also in south central areas, generally highs in the 50s. If you're lucky enough to get a few hours of sunshine later morning, early afternoon, you might squeak out 60. But overall, as we go into early June, this is the temperature outlook provided by the Climate Prediction Center of the Weather Service. June 2nd through the 6th, the first several days here of June, temperatures are expected to average below normal across much of the mainland, slightly below to near normal for the Panhandle. So we're not talking about a big warm ridge. There is a potential just beyond this period, could get some ridging that would bring some warmer temperatures along the Gulf Coast and Panhandle, but we'll have to wait and see before I jump on that. And as for precipitation, still the same thing. Precipitation could average above normal, especially across the southern mainland, centered around Cook Inlet, the Kenai Peninsula, Prince William Sound, and maybe finally closer to normal here, slightly drier pattern for the southern half of the Panhandle as we go into the first full week there of June.